Hi, good morning. I think it's still morning. Yes, it's Saturday. It's Saturday, February. It's Saturday, March 1st at 9:38 a.m. It's much later than usual because I took a nice slow morning. What did I do? I slept in till like 5:30. And then I had tea while my husband had coffee, and we talked. Got to spend some time not rushing. And then I had a giant breakfast salad. Just means I had a salad early in the day. That's what I usually have for breakfast because it's so good. And yeah, started laundry, read out of my astrology book. Apparently my voice is going out. I got through a lot of my astrology book this week that I've been trying to learn of. And then, of course, the universe is like, and it threw in this podcast into my algorithm that was all about Vedic astrology, which is from the Indian culture, from even farther back than our Western astrology, which things apparently have shifted in Western astrology, like because it wasn't as accurate. And so Vedic astrology is apparently more accurate in the math and science of it. And so it is more fixed. Whereas on the Western, like things slip forward every 70 some years, apparently. And so I'm like, oh my God, it was like, who am I? Because then I did my Vedic birth chart after seeing part of that episode. And I was like, oh, so I'm not a Cancer sun. I'm a Gemini sun with Cancer rising. I'm not a Leo rising. I'm not a moon in Scorpio. I'm a moon in Libra. And I'm like, who even am I? And so it's just fascinating that, like, depending on, and there's the astrology in almost every culture apparently. So it's like, depending on, so I guess since I was born into the Western culture, maybe it would be okay to still stick to that Western way of seeing things. But in any case, it's more fascination, and it's more like, oh, there's some synchronicity there. That's kind of neat. But but it did throw me for a loop. And I was like, who even am I? I'm a Gemini with Cancer rising, which kind of makes sense. I've always had an affinity towards Gemini. I am more towards that side of the thing, because I'm just all over the place. But then I do have the Cancer, like, I want to go inward. So I'm like, there's some truths in all of it. And if it's really that close, like it's just slipping a little bit, then we're still in that, I guess, realm of things are pretty darn close. So there's probably a lot of synchronicities between the differences, how they each, like, where you fall within each cultural astrology chart. So whatever, this is not about that. This is about lesson 59 of A Course in Miracles. I was just giving you a recap of my morning. What else is happening today? Oh yeah, I've been ghosted from the person buying my motorcycle. I asked him 4 times, please let me know what time you're coming so I can plan my day. Crickets. He's like, yeah, I'm coming. And then he would not respond with a time. I'm like, at least just tell me that you're trying to figure out a time and I'll be okay. But I've been ghosted, so I'm going to move on to the next person in line. So that's probably what I'm just trying to take an easy day today to chill, because tomorrow is pretty busy, and then maybe sell a motorcycle today. We shall see. So anyway, cut all that out. I'll fast forward. Lesson 59. This is another recap. We're almost at the end of our first 50 lesson recaps, and this is lessons 41 through 45 recap. So, God goes with me wherever I go. That's lesson 41. God goes with me wherever I go. How can I be alone when God always goes with me? How can I be doubtful and unsure of myself when perfect certainty abides in Him? How can I be disturbed by anything when He rests in me in absolute peace? And so I remember when I first had this lesson, when I was down in Costa Rica and I was walking the beaches, and I'm like, yeah, God goes with me wherever I go. I'm looking around. I'm like, I see God in everything. It's a little easier down there to see God in everything than in my room sometimes. But then I realized when I just When my mind stops grasping, when I allow it to settle enough to stop attaching to like what I'm doing today, that whole story I just gave you, and the frustration with somebody ghosting me, it's like all those are just thought stuff. If I let that go, then it's like it's much easier to remember that God is always with me and in me. And then number 42, God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Let me not look to my own eyes to see today. Let me be willing to exchange my pitiful illusion of seeing for the vision that is given by God. And again, that's like if I'm seeing out of these like thoughts, I'm not seeing the way God sees. It's like a different kind of vision, and it's kind of not the one I want anymore. I just want, the pure vision of just peace. God, number 43, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. I can see what God wants me to see. I cannot see anything else. Beyond his will lie only illusions. Again, thought stuff is all illusion. It's not even real. It is these I choose when I think I can see apart from him. So when I'm separated from that God vision, then I only see that other stuff. It is these I choose when I try to see through the body's eyes, yet the vision of Christ has given me, yet the vision of Christ has been given me to replace them. It is through this vision that I choose to see. So it's a choice. Everything is a choice. Number 44, God is the light in which I see. I cannot see in darkness. God is the only light. Therefore, if I am to see, it is through him. I have tried to define what seeing is, and I have been wrong. Now it is given me to understand that God is the light in which I see. Let me welcome vision in the happy world it will show me. It's a choice and a commitment. It's a desire. That's got to be there first. That is of the heart. It's not of the mind. And I think all of this stuff I've been studying and learning about these paths beyond our ego, like spiritual paths, journeys, whatever you want to call it, where you're finally ready to see beyond the small self and step into the big self, which is the God self. And so it's like when you're finally, there's a readiness that has to like descend upon you, grow within you. And if you're not ready, that's okay. There's a divine timing to everyone's readiness. And then once you're ready, this stuff really makes a lot more sense. Otherwise, to me, if I would have read it just even a few years ago, it would have been like, blah, 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 blah. The Teacher and Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. Like it wouldn't have landed in me in the way it is now. And yet it's still a challenge. Like I'm still obviously walking this path, and it's hard a lot of times because it's, again, all the thought stuff I just demonstrated to you that happens. Like, here's my day, and here's what's frustrating me, and la la la. And it's like, that's all that human stuff. And then it's like, okay, get that out of the way. And just, there's got to be space, time, and willingness. And I feel like there's space time, whatever that means to you. Space where maybe you need alone time to reflect. And just time, like breathing room. So time and space are very similar, where there's like just room. And a willingness, a readiness. Even if it's like that willingness and readiness kind of go hand in hand, I guess, like this. Like if I'm not ready, I'm probably not willing. And if I'm not willing, then I'm definitely not ready. So there's something about space-time, like room and readiness. Those are like two ingredients that pair nicely together. Oh man. And that seems to be like this magical space, like this. So God is the mind with which I think. That's number 45. I have no thoughts I do not share with God. I have no thoughts apart from him because I have no mind apart from his. As part of his mind, my thoughts are his and his thoughts are mine. So it's when we stop feeling that separation, then God is like right smack here in the face, just like there's no separation. And I've felt that from time to time, but if I truly am a Gemini, it explains a lot of why I'm in my head a lot. I love thinking thoughts. I love quickness. I also love slowing down and just diving deep into a feeling. But sometimes that thought stuff just gets in the way of the God stuff. There, that's a quote, and it kind of rhymes. So I just really loved this recap of these lessons, and it's really like helping me understand that like this will not even make sense if I'm not in the right space, if I've not made room, and if I don't have a readiness. And a readiness is like, feels like it's beyond us, doesn't it? It's like I can't make myself be ready. It's like this thing that's almost planted in me at some point, and it's very circumstantial, I guess. Like what are all the elements swirling around me that might feed into or pull my readiness away from me. So it's like this divine timing to start to walk a path beyond the ego, beyond the small self, and then to keep walking it, to keep recognizing that what you want to do. Even when you get sort of distracted, and it's been like maybe one heck of a week where everything's pulling on your attention, pulling you out of the present moment. And it's beyond us sometimes when we don't have that space built into our week, a day, because we have responsibilities. We've got to keep other people alive, you know? This whole taking care of the caretakers thing keeps coming to mind too. It's been a thing I've thought about in the past, and it's like growing in me like big time. It's like we're all caretakers in some sense, and caretaking can leave us feeling a little depleted. And how are we going to fill our cup first? I know everybody says that, fill your cup first, but like that's such a good analogy. How are we going to fill our own vessel first so that we can have extra to pour out to others who need their cup filled? Well, if we're all trying to fill our cup first, that's great, as long as we then turn around and pour some of it out, you know. So there's this, I don't want to say balance because it's not equal. It's all about what feels good. That actually came up in yesterday's Self-Love Part 1 reading. Guess who's at the door? I was trying to talk quietly, but he's like, I hear you. Let me in. And so this idea that these lower vibration energies like hate, and then fear underlies hate, take root when we are depleted. It's just human nature. That's what happens. When we're physically ill, we certainly don't have time to be thinking about spirituality unless we're like, please God, don't let me die, you know, like, yeah. So I have to get that. Somebody's at the door. At least he's not ghosting me. Sometimes I wish he would a little bit. Don't tell him I said that. Come in. Oh, I can't say that for long because he's so, oh, we did. You're too fast. I'm too slow. Don't pretend like a chair. Oh, anyway. So those were the 5 lessons. I really, really loved them as that reminder that if I'm not seeing like God, then there's some amount of, there's a lack of room or a lack of readiness. Like he just came in. So it's a good reminder that if I'm too caught up here, then it's like, hold on, something's out of whack. And I was going to say it's not about balance, 'cause that's I feel like it's more about harmony, because you have more than two elements to balance. And when you're balancing more than two, it's about how are you harmonizing those, because they're not all equal parts. There just can't be equal everything. Now, do you want to go out? He came right back over here. So yeah, how are we harmonizing those parts? And when we don't feel in our God space, whatever that means to us, if we don't feel at peace, if we don't feel like, oh, I can look out at the world with love, if we are feeling fear, whatever, then it's something is a little bit out of harmony. And what are those elements in our lives that are like something's not right here? Something's not right. Like, my house feels really dusty right now, really dirty. What happened? You know, it's like basic stuff too. Okay, I've got to go. So anyway, thank you for listening to this long and winding road that is lesson 59 of A Course in Miracles. And yeah, let me know if any of this resonates. I especially want to know if people are doing this book as well, because I had the thought today, it was one of those shower thoughts, and it was like, man, at the end of 365, I might just start right back at 1 for the rest of my life. Just keep every year, go through it. And I don't know, why not? Because I bet it's like in tarot, the Fool's Journey from start to finish. When you get to the end, you start at the beginning, but you've leveled up. You have a deeper understanding. You've gained some wisdom, blah, 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 blah. So how would I look at these next year? I kind of want to find out, if I'm not just so like, oh my God, I'm so glad to be done. I don't think it'll be like that, but we'll see. So yeah, stay tuned for a year from now to see what happens. Okay, have a great weekend. Bye.